Training video, I'm going to show you some of the best self-defense techniques with your walking cane. You can have any kind of walking cane. They do make these Cane Masters self-defense canes, which are extremely strong. They hit really hard. And if you get one of their nicer canes, they not only last a lifetime, their basic cane will last a lifetime, but they also have a lot of really nice features that you can use to defend yourself. We're going to go over that as we talk about the best self-defense techniques with your walking cane, whether it's a self-defense walking cane like the Cane Masters cane. And I put the link in the description if you want to see what these are, what they cost. They can be inexpensive, they can be expensive, but you can use any cane that you've got, right? So the first thing I want to show you is that from this position, as you're walking with your cane, you can quickly bring it up between the legs, maybe up under the chin, and all you're doing is bending the elbow and pulling your wrist up. Your shoulder is also moving. So you have 3 points here that are accelerating that first basic strike, that first self-defense technique. From here, you can simply turn your palm facing the sky, bring your hand back to the head, and then pushing your hand down like you're slapping him on the top of his head for self-defense. That brings the long end of your walking cane down on the top of his head. You want to try to remove or destroy his ability to hurt you. So that means either knocking him out, turn off his operating system, maybe he's reaching out with a punch, or he's got a knife, he's trying to stab or slash. You can smash that hand. You can hit him first in the groin. So you have this 1, 2 basic combination. The next thing, best self-defense techniques with your walking cane. From this position, just bringing it up and bringing it back. So just think about a windshield wiper, and you can probably hear the amount of force that I'm generating here. Hello, Eleanor, it's good to see you. Daryl, good afternoon, nice to see you. So basic, best self-defense techniques with your walking cane. First one, up and then over. You can do it with either hand. They both work evenly. You can also, hey, Mr. Almighty is here. Good afternoon, good to see you. If you need a cane to walk with, you can lean on one and then use the other one for self-defense. So I mean that if you pick up your cane, you're gonna fall to the ground. So one's for mobility, it's your medical device. The other one is your medical device used for self-defense because you have the right to defend yourself. So that's the first basic series. We're gonna go over this one again in a minute. This is just so pretty. It's so extremely heavy. This is made out of hickory. This is made out of oak. Oak's a little bit lighter. This one hits a lot harder, but they're both very effective. You might have an aluminum one. You might have different, you might have a hard aluminum, a soft aluminum. The soft aluminum doesn't hold up as well, but you can still defend yourself with it. So from this position and down, you have over and back. You can do a variation where you're coming up at an angle, striking, and then bringing it back, coming down at an angle from here, always striking from off of your shoulder, and then bringing it up here. You bring it down here, you bring it here, making an X pattern. So these are all basic spins. I'm going to show you how you can train for that so that you can use these basic best self-defense techniques with your walking cane. And we do something called combat cane spinning. I'm not sure who coined the term first. Maybe it was Mark Shuey, who created Cane Masters. That's this company. It's no longer owned by Mark Shuey. Keith Melton owns it. He's also a Cane Master. You can spin it this way. He does a really, actually, Luke runs it now, but Luke owns it. He does a fantastic job. Keith's still involved. You spin it this way. You bring it over and back. And what this is going to do is build some callus in your hand. It's going to allow you to slide your hand into the cane so that you can do some of these other best self-defense techniques using your walking cane. It's going to build power in your grip, simply spinning. And there are a lot of ways to spin. You can get fancy. You can spin in multiple ways, but I just spin a few times in my warm-up. That's what I'd have you do. Just spin for about 30 seconds here, come over and back in this figure 8 for about 30 seconds, throw it into the other hand, 30 seconds, over and back. And this is just, think about like slapping him in the face, giving the backhand for self-defense. So you're just coming over, back, creating this spinning pattern, which later like I said, is going to turn into this, coming across, coming down, coming up at an angle, coming down, coming back at the other side. All that comes from your spinning. You can also spin it by holding here, the same way you would spin a sword. Some people say you can never spin a sword. Why not? Maybe you're Errol Flynn or the Three Musketeers, Jackie Chan, Jet Li. I don't know who you might want to believe you are, but spinning can build power in that forearm and in the grip. Thank you, Eleanor. Eleanor said valuable information. And then this type of spin instead of this spin. So now spinning here in this figure eight motion allows you to strike with a lot more force as we go into the next set of best self-defense techniques using a walking cane. Yeah, Mr. Almighty says Jet Li spins an umbrella in Once Upon a Time in China. Spinning is not always used in self-defense, but with this cane, it's very effective. I'm gonna switch over to the other cane just because I haven't used it yet today, and I love the feel of it. Again, this is a little bit nicer. It's got a dark finish on it. And the link is below if you want to see what Cane Masters charges for their canes. Kara, thank you for very much for that. I got a little bit of that. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about these angular strikes, using it the same way you would maybe a set of Kali sticks, a Eskrima for you Filipino martial artists. You're not going to fight with your canes like that, but that's where some of these strikes are going to come from. Hey, Bill Miller is here from Vegas. Good to see you, Bill. First thing, might be a short sword. First thing you're going to do is practice this basic angle coming off of your shoulder, and it's so important that you bring it off your shoulder when you're learning these best self-defense techniques using a walking cane. It comes off the shoulder and not from outer space. If it comes out here, your arm's going to wrap right around him. He's going to close that gap, maybe stab you 30 times with his knife, and you're never going to knock him out. By the way, this will knock someone out for self-defense. This will break bones for self-defense, this Cane Master self-defense cane. So from here, you have to practice coming off the shoulder and making a nice, full range of motion strike coming down to your hip. Garen's here. Hey, Garen. Good evening. It's good to see you. So coming from here and then coming off of that other hip. So practice 1 and 2. Keep it tight. Always fight from behind your stick, right? You want to fight behind the stick, smashing forward, pushing back. Hey, Doug. Doug's here too. Doug, nice to see you. Someone said the other day, Doug, you have such a beautiful shillelagh. I'm glad you found it. I said, I didn't find it. Doug sent it to me. It was a beautiful gift. From here, sent me a whole bunch of them. Coming off the shoulder, you can turn the palm facing the sky and bring it up. And just think about how you might use that. He's reaching out to choke or poke or grab or stab or slash. And you bring that straight up and smash, break all the bones in his arm. G. Carlton's here. Good evening, G. Carlton. So practice 2 down and then coming off the hips. And it's the same thing. Same as fighting behind your stick, coming off your shoulder. You want to come off the hip and keep the stick between you and the bad guy, between you and the person you're defending against. Not swinging wildly, not big strikes, but tight. Keep it super tight. And you can do that when you practice over and over again. And then throw it into the other one. Awesome. Yeah. Garen would say a friend issued a challenge, 3 EDC everyday carry items for self-defense. That's a good challenge. You can use one cane. I know I mentioned this, but this is something you might be thinking about if you join us a little bit later. If I pick up my cane, I'm going to fall on the ground. Use one cane to lean on, and you'll notice that I have the crook facing out, facing you. I'm going to go over that in just a minute, why I do that, or how to use it. The reason why is because it's ergonomically, it's stronger. Now I've lost the tip of the rubber because I've used it so much. I need to get a new rubber tip. I go through rubber tips about every 3 months, especially when my hips hurting. I use my dojo cane a little bit more, but you lean onto one and you can fight coming off with one hand, 2 angles down, 2 angles coming off the hips, And then horizontal strikes, think about striking the head, turn off the operating system. If he's got a knife, you can strike that head and knock him out before he gets close to you with that knife. That's better than trying to worry about the knife. But coming through, maybe into the ribs, down into the legs, take out the knees. Maybe it's that vicious animal off the chain, running, ripping, trying to rip up your dog, your little dog you're taking for a walk, and he's coming after you next, or he's got the neighbor, he's mauling somebody once again, and you just crack him in the skull with these for self-defense. Don't just go around cracking dogs in the skull. All right, Doug asked, can I explain how I'm using the other hand? So this hand, I'm leaning into my cane. I have the crook facing out. That's to alleviate the pressure on your wrist so that you're stronger. If you look at the way it works, when it's at this angle, it becomes an extension of your arm. If you go in a more traditional way, then it's less stable, and you come down, this backbone stops, goes forward and down, transferring the weight through your arm and the force. You turn it around, it's all one long piece. It's one gigantic lever. And you bring that up and across his face for self-defense. From that position, and we'll go over that in a second, you're gonna hit a lot harder. But I'm leaning into it so that I don't fall to the ground, and I'm using the other hand to defend myself because my legs aren't as strong as they used to be, or you're not as mobile, or whatever the reason is. Maybe an injury, maybe the way you're born, but that's how you can use two canes. I'm gonna put that one away. I'll come back to that in a little bit. So I wanna go over these angles, two down, two up, horizontal, and straight down on top. And then of course, there's always a jabbing motion coming through here. Now there are more angles that you can do. If you wanna get all Kali, Salat, Eskrima, Filipino martial art, if you want to get fancy, but I say don't get fancy, get simple, right? Keep it simple. I like, if I took all the techniques that I know how to use my cane, which is just a big stick to defend myself, my favorite set come from 1989, Paris Island. I was supposed to go in May, and I had another ear infection, so I got booted back to August. So sometime toward the end of the year, Paris Island, boot camp, Marine Corps, bayonet course, pugil sticks. Pugil sticks looks like that giant Q-tip. They're not soft like a Q-tip though. I know, because you can hit people pretty hard with them. But I had done all this training, so I never got hit with my Q-tip, my pugil stick. I was a pugil stick master, and everybody was amazed. I'm like, I've been doing martial arts since I was a kid. Been fighting with sticks and messing around, hitting people. And so I had an unfair advantage, is my point. But when you run out of bullets, they say fix bayonet. So the guy's getting too close, they're gonna run through your line. You put your knife on the end, the old style anyway. You fix your bayonet, and then you hook and jab. And you fight with your gun without pulling the trigger, because either you ran out or they're too close. Now you're slashing and jabbing, running through, and then your knife breaks, your bayonet breaks off, and your hand guards break off of your M16 or your M4 or whatever. And now you just have a big metal stick with a hard plastic in, and you smash them. And that's the way I would use it. I would stand my ground, I would wait, and I would smash, and I would hook, literally take that hook, one of the best self-defense techniques with your cane master self-defense walking cane. I don't know if you can see that, but that nasty tooth is gonna dig in there and pull some flesh off of his face. Yeah, Garen says eventually a stick or a spear. Pull his eye out of his head, rip his nose off of his face, his teeth out of his mouth, dig in there. It's gonna, for self-defense, it's gonna be very effective is my point. Using it like that, like a rifle, right? Rifle butt strike, bayonet thrust, and then just like a big oak, or the hickory, this one's hickory, big bar of hickory, smashing his teeth down his throat. Because he's pulled out that knife, and you warned him, you said, back up, I will defend myself. And you were here in this position, minding your own business, and you bent your knees, and you got it to this position. And then he came closer, and you bent your knees a little bit more, so you got lower than him, your center of gravity dropped a little bit lower, and then you take the front foot, and you step in as he's coming in, and you thrust with your whole body, and he goes, and you lift him off the ground, he goes flying back, reliving the the Crucible, in the old Crucible, not the one the kids do now in boot camp, but the other one. All right. Anyway, sorry. Best techniques, best self-defense techniques with your self-defense walking cane. We started with the spins, how you do those spins, how you can stop somebody for self-defense, lift it up, bring it down. Then we went into, you pick it up, use it like a collie stick or a sword, coming through these basic angles, down on top. And then I said, bend your knees, and then you point your thumb. The backhand just points it right at that guy. You remember that movie? I think it was The Presidio with the old James Bond. I was at a car show this weekend. Not really a car show, it was a private event. One of the car collectors had like every James Bond car from the actual movie. It was kind of cool. Sorry, Doug, I missed your comment. I was reminiscing about the weekend. Bend the knees, point the thumb. Grab it in the other hand, so now you have two hands on it. Two hands are better than one. Excuse me, two hands better than one. I just had dinner. So two hands better than one from here. And as I said, bend your knees a little bit. Now, if you need two canes, you can't put it two hands on one cane. So just skip that part. So before you put in the comment section, you said lean on the one. I can't do that with two hands. Yeah, of course not. So this section doesn't apply. But if you can, bend the knees, point the thumb, stay low, and when you move forward, you stay low. As a military policeman in the Marine Corps, we also practice riot control. Everybody's got their riot baton, which is about 36 inches long. That's how long this cane is. Daryl, thank you. Daryl said good class today. Thank you, Daryl. So you would stand shoulder to shoulder, and you would step. Let me see if I can get my feet in here. Front foot, back foot. Front foot, back foot. And if you have to go backward, back foot, front foot. If you have to go left, left foot, right foot. You have to go right, right foot, left foot. The only rule is don't ever cross your feet. And that's the same rule in boxing, in taekwondo, in karate do, if you want to say it like that. I don't know about the kung fu. Kung fu's all wiggly wiggly. They do all the tai chi. So they might be crossing their feet. And there are ways to cross and like do it, where you step behind in a side kick or you step over. Hey, that hip's doing well. That's the one I had replaced. It's starting to move better. Thank you, Doug, for that super chat. Sorry to get so chatty. But the basics, self-defense. Let's get rid of the martial arts. Let's pull in the self-defense, the practical stuff. For you and me, not to be on the ground and have someone either jiu-jitsu us or stomp our head in with their foot or kick our head in, maybe two or three guys. We don't want that. So we don't want to go to the ground if we don't have to, right? So on the footwork for the best self-defense techniques using your walking cane, remember your feet about shoulder width apart, one step back, or if you're aggressive like me in nature, one step forward. What that means is that when he's coming into your face, if you know you're gonna have to defend yourself, closing the gap. Now that doesn't work very well if there's a knife involved. You're probably gonna be in big trouble unless you know what you're doing. But you never want to fight with a knife, right? You don't want to pick a fight. You don't want to go into a fight. But if it's imminent and all of a sudden he's coming at you and you can close that distance, close with and destroy, one of our principles of self-defense, and not get this puncturing all of your organs. They're doing the prison, what do they call it, sewing machine. These things are scary. Then you want to create distance, but not more than one step. Then, when you move forward, front foot, back foot. When you move right, right foot, left foot. When you move left, left foot, right foot. When you move backward, right foot, left. Now there's one more variation that I want you to practice and learn as you're learning the best self-defense techniques with your self-defense walking cane, like this Cane Master's cane. Link in the description if you need one. And that is stepping and turning at an angle. Never crossing your feet. That's the only rule. Remember that. Don't ever cross your feet. Don't cross your feet unless you want to be on the ground. Because if you retreat and your feet are in line or crossed, one foot's going to run to the other one. You're going to lose your balance. You're going to be on the ground. And he's going to be down there thinking he's in the UFC, ground and pound your face in. Or a bunch of guys running up, kicking you while you're on the ground. And that's not where you want to be. So from here, in this position, one way we call it a pattern interrupt. He's barking, he's yelling, he's in your face. You can kind of step to the side, and it doesn't have to be a big one. It can be a real small one. You just change the angle. So he's looking at you straight on. Now all of a sudden, he's got to turn his head and look at you at the angle, and then that changes the way he's talking to you. Student, I missed that comment too. You're gonna have to throw that up if you would. Again, I'll look for it. But that's a pattern interrupt. It's also a good way not to get hit. Punches coming straight in. You can do the Mr. Miyagi. Remember the first movie? And I know I try not to do all the movie references because that's all fake, but they represent real principles. And you know, he just turns and let it go by. And all that is a boxer slip, right? Mr. Miyagi lets the punch go by. Boxers let the punch go by. Usually you parry at the same time. Parry, you know how to back fist him, or parry in the elbow. For you Filipino martial arts guys, again, get a lot of you here tonight. All right, so point thumb. I had to go back in my head and try to remember what we were talking about. Bend the knees, slide your hands out. There's two ways to get it into this position. One is because you did all your spins, you got nice callus on your hand, you get good proprioception, you have good spatial awareness, timing and distance. You pick it up and your hand just automatically, you allow it to slide down. Oh yeah, student says just hi, let's look at comments from an earlier lesson. Absolutely. We've been going over a lot tonight, Studer, but there's no, if you had a map, you'd be crisscrossing. We went this way, then we came back over here, then we went down here, then we stopped off at the drug mart, we came back again. Oh yeah, Doug says when stepping forward, it's that stomp, drag, stomp, drag. You're dragging the back foot forward and you're aiming this and you're sticking it right in his solar plexus. Fastest way and I keep forgetting to pick up the PR24s. Oh, Garen says, hopefully you don't have carpal tunnel. I have never had carpal tunnel, and I'll tell you why, Garen. It's this. All this spinning opens and closes the hand. And so you're both exercising your flexors and your extensors. As long as you exercise your flexors and your extensors, then you keep it balanced in there in the carpal tunnel instead of just closing like most people do. Typing with poor posture, this instead of this. I don't know what else you do. All the turning of wrenches and the working with your hands, turning the screwdriver. It's all squeezing. So it's flexors. But if you do your extensors too, it's like if all you did was pull-ups or what are these called? Bicep curls. All you did was bicep curls and you never did tricep extensions, you'd walk around like this. And you probably remember back to your high school days. Some guys do that. Yeah, Studer says stress balls help. Stress balls help. Also, go to the grocery store and buy some broccoli. Don't buy it. Just take the purple rubber band off of it. And I'm only saying that because since I started eating meat, I won't touch the broccoli. I'll have a little piece. I have a little bit of salad, a little bit of lettuce tonight, some romaine with my taco meat. So you take that purple rubber band, it comes on like the asparagus, you stick that on your fingertips, and you just practice opening. Or you can go to like Iron Mind, that's one of my favorite brands, and you can buy their fancy $15 set of finger extensors. But I find the rubber bands, and it can be any rubber, it can just be a thick rubber band. Postman puts a bunch of junk in your post box, puts a big rubber band around it. I don't know if they still do that. Take that rubber band, put it on your fingers, do that until it breaks, then get another one. And you just do 30 seconds with one, or spinning. This does, I think, even more. Yeah, Garen says he aggravated it with a heavy band. The other thing you can do that when I used to get carpal tunnel, and I never had carpal tunnel, I got tendonitis before I started to really work on balance, because I overdo everything. It was back when I was bending nails and I was trying to work myself up to a 10-penny nail, and I actually popped I was doing a bunch of push-ups and pull-ups at the same time, in the thousands on the push-ups and a couple hundred pull-ups a day. And I was bending nails at the end of the day. And I had one, I was just working on this 10-penny nail, because you have to kind of put the vibration in, get the heat going through the metal, because it's all physics and mechanical principles and stuff. It's not magic. But I popped this thing out and crushed my nerves, and then I had to really slow it down after that. Yeah, typing's awful. if you can fix your typing, my grandmother was a clerk typist for the state or for the city, and she was highly ranked. She, so many words a minute, and she was always. That was back in the days where they smacked your. Where my grandmother would smack me with something if I didn't do it right. So she taught us how to type, and if you didn't have proper posture, she knew you were going to get hurt, or get the carpal tunnel. Isn't that funny? Older generations never had a carpal tunnel. It's just when we got lazy and sat down and started doing this, and slouching. I'm not saying that's what you're doing, Karen, but slouching back in the thing, doing the thing, and then you get the carpal tunnel. All right, point the thumb. Slide the hand down, point the thumb, get it in the front hand, step and drag, like Doug said, and just either go for the solar plexus, if it's life or death, you can just aim it up. Go for here, go for here. Go a little bit lower between the belly button and the privates. I was saying before, in storage, I got like 3 or 4 of these PR24s that Doug sent me. Thank you, Doug. And then one that I had since I went to MP school in the Marine Corps in 1990. And you take that, it's like a tonfa, and it's got the handle here and the piece here. It's made out of that hard polymer, and you hit them between the belly button and the privates. Just a little bit's enough to put most people on the ground. You can also actually use this a little bit like the tonfa if you think about it. But from here, point the thumb, thrust. You can aim it in any direction. Smashing, don't ever forget that you can do this. This hard bar, hickory, going through his face, moves him back. Box his ears. You can smash down, coming down on the top of his head. You can hook up. Imagine sticking that in his coccyx, right between his legs. Lift him up off the ground. You can picture it, right? Back when I learned Hapkido cane, because that's where I started, Hapkido cane. A lot of people, that was really popular for a while, and then cane fu came around. I've never done the cane fu, but I've seen it. That's very fancy. It's like a flowing with the cane. Philly's Fathead says, Semper Fi, brother, Semper Fi. Close quarters, Stuart says, absolutely. Doug says, getting smacked on the fingers with the PR24 made you believers. Anytime, I don't know if you've ever seen a PR24 or a Monadnock, that was the name of the company, Monadnock, and I think it was made in the free country of Taiwan. But Monadnock, but it's a country, it's an actual country. It's where all the free Chinese people left when Mao started starving everybody to death. But the hard polymer, all you have to, like Doug said, just wrap yourself with that. You'll feel it in a real way. So bend the knees, point, thrust, shove, 2 hands, box his ears, right? Smash down on his head and lift him up. And if he grabs the end of your cane, you hook, you anchor your back hand to your hip, and you make a small circle. You guys remember Wally J, small circle jiu-jitsu? We were talking about him the other day, and I said I used to go to these seminars, and I couldn't remember because my brain, I was having like a brain day where I couldn't think of anything. Like no words were coming into my head. And I couldn't remember Camp Pendleton. And I was telling the story, and I said, I used to go to this place in San Diego. I said, it's like the biggest Marine Corps base in the world. It's, everybody, it's where the West Coast Marines go. And because I thought that the West Coast Marines went to Camp Pendleton, I didn't realize it was MCRD in San Diego. Now we stay like right next to walk, because we stay at this little, like a nice residence inn, go for Thanksgiving, walk to my brother-in-law's house, brother and sister-in-law. They live up the hill. It's a beautiful area. It's right in the middle of San Diego, right in the middle of all the Navy and NCRD, and we walk right next to it. And it never occurred to my thick, dull brain that that's where the Marine Corps, the recruit depot is. That's what MCRD stands for. And I could have sworn that Camp Pendleton was in San Diego. And another 2 Marines, they're looking at me like I'm a moron, which is fair because it was pretty moronic. And I learned something new. And it's funny because every time I go to San Diego, I'm always looking around trying to see Camp Pendleton, because I had a buddy there who wrestled for the Marine Corps, and he worked in the brig. And when I would go there for like a prisoner transport, sometimes we'd pick some guys up and we'd go down to Tijuana. But it's an ocean side. It's like far, far away. All right, sorry. You can tell I haven't made a video in a while, and I'm trying to milk the most out of it because we haven't seen each other, and I missed you guys. Yeah, Hollywood Marines, hoorah. Fancy, West Coast. When that movie,